Everybody else ready? All good? Okay, very good. Good morning, and thank you all for being here. This is the DAO's regular weekly press conference, but this week we are in a special place, and that is the Dr. Ayla Stanford Center for Health Equity. I kind of feel like I'm being rude because I'm talking about Dr. Ayla Stanford, who's standing right here. But that is where we are, and this is a special place. This is a place where people can get no-cost care. You ain't got the money? Come anyway. It's a place where people will not be turned away, and it's a place where you will get the same treatment regardless of whether you have insurance or don't, have money or don't. You're going to get treated the same way because somebody here still believes in equality. Somebody here still believes in that. And somebody still believes that wellness makes us safer. And I absolutely agree with Dr. Ayla Stanford, who I've had the pleasure of knowing for a while. I truly agree that wellness does make us safer. August is National, well, hold on now, wait a minute. I just checked my watch. We got 3 weeks till school's open. 3 weeks. I had kids, they're older now, but I know what that means. But it also means this, get your kids in here. Dr. Stanford is not just a doctor. Dr. Stanford's background is specifically in pediatrics, including pediatric surgery. You're not going to find better care, broke or not, rich or not, you're not going to find better care than here. So get in. You got 3 weeks. Let's take care of it. They are just waiting to serve you and to help you. All right. Now, this month is also National Wellness Month. Reducing gun violence and violent crime continue to be among the very top priorities for the 700 attorneys, law enforcement, victim advocates, and support staff at the DA's office. We recognize and we are grateful for the tremendous work of community-based organizations like this one, but not just this one, and local nonprofits who work so hard on prevention to interrupt the cyclical nature of violence and the harm it caused. I will tell you as usual, first thing I did when I got up this morning was check the number of homicides because it is a good indicator of how we are doing overall. And as I saw so many other days this year, we have the lowest number of homicides on this date, 4th of August. Yesterday was 3rd of August, but we have the lowest in over 50 years. That's where we are. Without having cured poverty, without having brought under control the supply of guns, that's where we are. Make no mistake, the work that these organizations do, that work is every bit as important as the enforcement work that we're going to discuss, including an update with reference to the Finley Rec shooting case. It's incredibly important. Gun violence and violent crime are a public health issue, and that is one of many good reasons why we were delighted to have the opportunity to be here at Dr. Ayla Stanford Center for Health Equity in order to do this press conference. A little background on where we are. Dr. Ayla Stanford and CEO Kamal Stanford, the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium, shifted from the incredibly important work that they were doing during the pandemic to build trust, to test, and to vaccinate, shifted from that to a broader vision, which was health equity, which was health available to a lot of people who didn't have reason to access or ability to access or trust health system. And that incredible work was lifted up as it should have been and ultimately resulted in almost a universal agreement that a center like this had to be, with elected officials, with government, with the faith community, as you can see, because you can see where we are, all coming together to support that vision. And it is a great vision. Recognized as a national model by Dr. Rachel Levine, the Assistant Secretary of Health, the BDCC, that's the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium, the BDCC was at the forefront in Philly and surrounding counties during the pandemic, and we see what they have become. Collectively, we are still grappling with the aftermath of the pandemic and to some extent the pandemic itself. But BDCC's focus has expanded and has never shifted from making sure that everyone can get access to the health care that they need and that communities of color are well served by health care. I want to thank Dr. Stanford for her amazing work and her team for their amazing work, and everyone who brought this into being for hosting our press conference here. And I want to give Dr. Stanford an opportunity to say, probably much better than what I just said, what this place is about and why and how Philadelphians can use it. Dr. Stanford?
Thank you, D.A. Krasner. Welcome, everyone here. Welcome back to many of you. As you know, in this community and many communities throughout the city of Philadelphia, we have violence, we have poor health outcomes, we have trauma for many of our residents, but we also have joy. And we want to maintain more of that. And I believe that the work that we do here gets people closer to that. So yes, you heard D.A. Krasner talk about pediatrics, but we also have geriatrics, we have women's care, we have men's care, we have phlebotomy, we have EKGs, we have your employment physicals, your PPD placement, your driving physicals for the children, and going back to school, those for our scholar athletes, the PIAA physical. So a couple dates I want you to keep in mind. August 25th, 26th, and 27th, we will dedicate each of those days, 8 to 12-hour days, to just children, to get our kids ready to get back to school. Especially our 7th graders need certain vaccines, our 11th graders need certain vaccines, so they can start, and we will be open only for children on August 25th, 26th, and 27th. An important, very important component of the care we provide is trauma-informed care. For those who have been impacted by trauma in the form of violence, either directly or indirectly, and we have licensed psychiatrists and therapists that are here, men and women and people of color, to care. As you already heard, we see everyone, regardless of your ability to pay. No one is turned away from care here. That's the way we started. That's the way we continue to be, which means we work very, very hard to make sure you get the expert care. So if you have insurance, we'll take it. But if you don't have insurance, that's okay too, and we will still take you. And then the last part is we are a school-based wellness center with the School District of Philadelphia, which means that during the day, any student can come here during their school day and receive care. And we are committed to the health of all Philadelphians, particularly in this community, but in communities like this one across the city, where the health outcomes could use some help. And we are a part of that solution, particularly now where healthcare is on the front, where healthcare is on the minds of everyone, regardless of if you have Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. Because the reality is, if it's taken away, the hospitals and clinics will be filled. And it doesn't matter how great your insurance is, if we only have so many doctors and so many nurses to go around, what we're seeing in HHS impacts all of us. And so we need to stay abreast, keep ourselves educated, protect our friends and family, use us as a resource, and I'm just appreciative to have the opportunity to share this space with you. I think you got some of our tests and vaccines too, didn't you, during COVID?
Yes,
I mean, we had the opportunity to take care of the DA, I think all of the mayors, you know, a couple governors in there too, while we're taking care of the community. And I say that to say is that we don't care what your position is, how much money you have, the color of your skin, the care you receive from us will be equitable. It will be what you deserve, and it's a privilege to be able to serve others as we do that. And so again, thank you for joining, and I look forward to hearing everything else that's coming up today. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stanford, and thank you for everything that you and your colleagues here do, and so many volunteers. You had a ton of volunteers, I remember,
right.
back in the early days. It was amazing. All right, so we are, in fact, here for two reasons. Reason number one is that the DAO's Gun Violence Task Force will be announcing charges and give a prosecutorial update in reference to last week's shooting at Christie Rec in West Philadelphia. I can tell you that there is information about another arrest that we will provide to the extent we can, as much as we can. I want to thank our colleagues in government and law enforcement for their very prompt response to the families and communities impacted by this horrific shooting, including, but not limited to, Councilmember Jamie Gauthier, with whom I spoke on the way over here, and who I understand has an event this evening, along with State Rep Rick Krajewski, in relation to that shooting. I also want to give some special thanks to the Philadelphia Police Department's SIG, S-I-G, the Shooting Investigation Group, for doing a superb job on an investigation that is ongoing. I also want to thank Mayor Sherelle Parker, Commissioner Kevin Bethel, Councilmember Gauthier, Representative Krajewski, Parks and Recs Commissioner Susan Slauson, as well as other officials who responded to last week's shooting at the Christie Rec Center. The DA's office was also on location and will remain a unified front with our colleagues in government and law enforcement as we continue to prioritize finding the truth, holding people appropriately and justly accountable, and promoting and improving public safety in the city of Philadelphia. In a couple of moments, you're going to hear from prosecutors from the Gun Violence Task Force, who will provide those details regarding the investigation charging bail and an upcoming preliminary hearing. That is one reason. Reason two is that in May of 2021, the Philadelphia DA's office launched the DAO's Violence Prevention Grant Initiative. This program was designed to take forfeiture asset money, which is money taken from criminal actors, and redistribute those funds back into the communities that were blighted, that's the word that they use in the law, that were harmed, that's a better word, but back into the communities that were harmed by that criminal activity across Philadelphia through microgrants in partnership and with the assistance and supervision to some extent for compliance purposes of the Philadelphia Foundation. We do want to thank our partners at the Foundation for their hard work in vetting each application, making recommendations to us for grant awards to our team at the DA's office. And I also want to thank the DAO's External Engagement and Government Affairs Division for managing this process, which I'm sure you can imagine, with the amount of money that has been given out, which is in the millions over those years, the number of organizations that have received what is effectively seed money to do their work. I'm sure you can imagine that's a whole lot of details, a whole lot of paper, a whole lot of emails, a whole lot of phone calls. It's a whole lot of organization. Just look behind me if you're wondering. I want to thank them for that work, which facilitates these amazing community organizations, often led by people who've been working out of their back pocket, their enthusiasm, their free time, that have made such a difference. And if you don't see the difference, start reading the crime statistics, because I do, and I know the impact these organizations are having. All right, we have some wonderful people here. We've already mentioned Dr. Stanford, who's the founder of the Black Doctors Consortium. We have First Assistant Robert Listenby with us, G. Lamar Stewart, who is the chief of the DAO's External Engagement and Government Affairs Division, ADA William Fritzy, chief of the DAO's Gun Violence Task Force, ADA Anna Walters, also GVTF, that means Gun Violence Task Force, ADA Marianne Aguilar, also GVTF, ADA Bob Wainwright, who is the chief of the Homicide Non-Fatal Shooting Unit. We have Tania Leonard, director of the DAO's CARES Unit, which, as many of you know, works directly with the families of homicide victims in intensive ways for the first 45 days. Mariel Dela Cruz, our director of DAO's Victim Services Unit, is here as well. They work with families throughout the process with reference to all kinds of crimes, and also they work very closely with the CARES Unit when we come to the end of those 45 days. And I also want to thank all of these representatives from 21 local nonprofits and community-based organizations, all of whom and all of which we will identify as we are discussing the microgrants that are being provided today. And now it is my pleasure to call forward ADA William Fritzy to discuss the DAO Gun Violence Task Force and the historical work of Gun Violence Task Force in the West Philadelphia community, as well as Anna Walters and ADA Marianne Aguilar, who will discuss the investigation, arrest, and announce new charges against another defendant in the Christie Rec matter. If all three of you would come forward and share this giant podium, we will take it from there.
You're a little bit shorter than me.
Why you got to do that?
I'm just letting you know.
So meaner.
Sadly, this is the second time that I have been asked to stand at a press conference with Christy Rec with the shooting that had occurred. Several years ago, we know of the shooting that occurred out at Christy Rec. At that time, the task force, as well as the Philadelphia Police Department, was there, and we have had discussions since that time where the task force would provide attorneys and the police department would provide assigned detectives to work specifically in that area to target the violent crime that was occurring. That included doing grand jury investigations into that area to arrest the people who were pulling the trigger, and it included us providing attorneys at every level of the investigation when the police department asked. When this recent shooting occurred, we again asked the police department if they would like our assistance with our attorneys to essentially be embedded, to answer those questions that detectives might have as this investigation unfolds. And they were gracious enough to allow us in as our partners to work with us hand in glove. Now, the people who did the heavy lifting were the detectives, and they've been working many, many hours of overtime, almost 24 hours a day, to get these arrests in and to make the community safer. And we want it to be safe at our rec centers, right? We, including myself, rely on them for our summer camps, our after-school activities, and it should not be a place where there is violence occurring, because we want our children to be safe when we leave them in the hands of the very competent people that work at those rec centers. So based upon all of that, we again worked with the police department, with our detectives. We had 3 district attorneys who were assigned to this investigation to aid in any way possible. Danielle Burkavage, Anna Walters, and Marianne Aguilar worked over the weekend and since the shooting to help bring this arrest in. And I'm going to ask them at this time to step forward and give a little information on the case as it stands. Please understand this is still an ongoing investigation, so there's going to be a lot of things that we're not going to be allowed to say, and many things our partners over at the police department are still working on. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Marianne Aguilar, and I stand here with my colleague, Anna Walters. We've been working on this investigation since the shooting broke out, unfortunately, last Wednesday afternoon at the Christie Rec Center at 56 and Christian. As you all may recall, it was a hot summer afternoon last Wednesday, about 90 degrees, and it was one of the first days that Christie Rec Center pool was actually open. At the time that the shooting broke out, there was multiple children, families, camps present in that pool area. As of today, and I'll let my colleague go through charges and briefly describe injuries and victims, while we can't share all the names as some of them are children. As of today, we do have 1 arrest that has been made. An individual was arrested Friday night, 17 years old, and we do believe that he is one of the shooters. The investigation is ongoing. We are continuing to work tirelessly with the shooting investigation group. As Bill Fritzie said, they are working around the clock. And we're going to continue to work around the clock until we hold everyone who was involved in this incident, from the people who pulled the trigger to the people who assisted in coming to the scene, assisted afterwards. We will ensure that everyone is held accountable, because our communities and our children deserve to feel safe in our parks. They deserve to feel safe in our recreation centers. They deserve to feel safe while they enjoy their summers. And so we'll try to answer as many questions as we can, but we're a week short in this investigation, and so we're still working tirelessly, and we will continue to do so. The preliminary hearing for the individual that's been arrested has a listing coming up on August 15th of 2025. That'll be the first listing of the case, and we're going to be working towards being prepared to get this case moving forward and holding the individual accountable for his actions.
And as ADA Aguilar stated, on Wednesday, June the 30th, more than 75 people were at Christie Rec Center enjoying their summer, enjoying what was an incredibly hot day at the newly opened pool. On that date, we have been able to make an arrest for Keon Kia, who we believe to have shot multiple shots on that date, injuring 6 individuals, among them an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, and an 11-year-old. One of those individuals remains in critical condition. Frankly, it's astonishing that his gunfire didn't injure more people. And ultimately, Mr. Kia has been charged with 14 transcripts of aggravated assault and related offenses, in addition to firearms charges for being an individual not licensed and frankly not old enough to have a firearm. We're grateful to detectives at the Shooting Investigations Group for their truly tireless work, and I know that we will continue to make sure that children who are playing at a pool are more concerned with what ice cream flavor they're having that night on a summer's night rather than injuries they may have or did sustain at a rec center.
I apologize. Bail. Bail has been set at, I believe, just shy of $4.5 million at this point in time.
Thank you. Thank you both for that information. Let me see. All right. Thank you for those comments. And now, we're going to highlight grant awards to 21 local nonprofits. I'm going to ask G. Lamar Stewart, who is the chief of our community engagement team, among other things. He wears a lot of hats. I'm going to ask him to come forward because this is a lot of work and I don't feel like doing it today. I mean, you know, I'm getting older. I'm going to call forward G. Lamar Stewart and ask him to assist in announcing these awards and providing a limited number of speakers. It's not that I don't want the others to speak, it's just that we can't stay here all day. There are 21 organizations. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to call forward G. Lamar Stewart, chief of our External Engagement Government Affairs Division, also a police officer, also a pastor, also a man who runs a community group for kids. Like I said, a lot of hats. Thank you.
Thank you so much, D.A. Krasner. When a crime occurs in Philadelphia, oftentimes at the scene, particularly when it's a violent crime, we see a lot of sheroes and heroes doing extraordinary work responding to the incident that occurred. But often the people who aren't seen are the folks who are part of the organizations who are seated behind us, who are doing the violence prevention, violence intervention, and violence interruption work. These are victim service groups. These are community-based organizations that are addressing trauma, that's addressing healing, that are mentoring young people, that's trying to keep them away from crime, but also helping families who've been impacted by crime. Since May of 2021, the DA's office has awarded, now with today's grant, around $6 million to community-based organizations, micro grants ranging from $5,000 to $50,000. This particular theme, this is the second batch of grant awardees. This particular theme was focused on gun violence intervention, on summer camps, mentoring program for girls, as well as trauma care support and organizations that are addressing trauma. And so because we have 21 organizations receiving awards today that will total $400,000, because of time, we want to be able to allow each organization to speak, but we have identified 6 organizations who we will have come and to share. They'll come up. There's a fake check that they're going to bring up with them that's underneath their chair. They'll take a picture with the DA, and then they'll give some remarks so that you can hear about the mission of their organization, the work that they're doing, and how this particular seed money is going to be helpful for the work that they are doing here at the City of Philadelphia. The first of those organizations that I would like to call forward is an organization called As I Plant the Seed. Its founder and executive director, Ryan Harris, will ask that he would come forward, and they're receiving today a grant in the amount of $40,000.
How y'all doing today? First, I just want to thank God because I know without his strength and his guidance, I wouldn't be saying right there today. I want to thank the DA's office, Larry Krasner, G. Lamar Stewart and y'all whole office, man. Really appreciate y'all what y'all doing. This money is super significant to what we got going on over at As I Plant the Seed, because around this time, going into the fall, we get real tight when it comes to funding. And this our first year going into leaving the summer, having some funding to start off the fall with, so we can continue the work that we do with our youth. We impact youth from 5 years old to 17 years old. And we just teach them things that they're not learning in school, like financial literacy, entrepreneurship, self-efficacy, and just trying to push them to their full potential. We've been doing this work for 13 years, and we've even had the mentees that started 10 years ago with us. They are coming back, and they are actually taking positions as mentors, creative directors, and giving back to the community. So we're doing a great work. And with this money, man, we're going to be able to do a whole lot more. We've been able to do a whole lot with little. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this investment will make an even broader and bigger impact on today's kids that we serve. So we appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.
I'm going to ask Ryan to come back, and I should have prompted him to do this before. Brian is being humble, but there's a story that I want him to share. When we talk about the investment and the importance of investment into prevention groups, many of them, particularly when they start out, don't have access to these types of grants. And Ryan did something that was very extraordinary a few years ago when he was trying to open up his center, his community center. He took matters into his own hand. I want him to share the story of what he did and how far he went to make sure that he was willing to able to raise money for the young people that he served.
Absolutely. I always leave that part out, right? So in 2018, we was trying to expand and be able to serve the youth the way we knew we needed to serve them, and we was looking to open our own building. And God woke me up on my sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning and told me to write these plans down, to stand outside and pray and fast on Broad Island Park until we was able to raise $30,000 to revitalize a 3-bedroom house and turn it into a community center where we offer 13 free programs for the youth right now. So it took us 2.5 days to raise $30,000, and we had the support of the whole city. When I say people was coming back outside donating coins if they had to, just to help us out. And every dime of that went to refurbishing the community center that we operate out of today, and we service over 50 kids a week. We feed them every day. We have a full staff, and this money, like I said, man, standing outside and doing that work in the rain and the cold, that's one thing. But to be acknowledged and to be sitting here with the DA's office and them investing into the work that we're doing, it makes our work even stronger. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan, for the work you're doing and for that story. Next organization we're going to bring up is Action for Justice Collective. Its executive director and founder, Mike Brown. Action for Justice Collective, they operate out of the Northwest, particularly in the Mount Airy, Germantown community. I'm going to ask for Mike Brown and his team, who may be with him, to join as they receive their grant of $20,000.
Why don't you two stand together?
Good morning. Well, good afternoon now. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Brown, and I'm here with Vice President Greg Burris, and we're here representing the Action for Justice Collective. We'd like to thank the District Attorney Larry Krasner, G. Lamar Stewart, and everyone who had something to do with this reward and allowing us to receive this. Just to give you a little idea of what this is going to affect, we have 2 new initiatives that we are starting, and one initiative is called A Path Forward, and that is working with young people that is a part of the the EAU, the Emerging Adults Unit, from the District Attorney's Office. These are young people who have minor offenses, failure to launch, not quite, had some made some bad decisions, and our goal at the program is to get them work ready, is to help them receive workforce development, and to get back on their feet and give them a path forward. So we've been working with these young people since January of ages 18 to 24. So it's an older demographic, but it's very important that these young people become productive citizens. And if you do not give them the assistance that they need at this moment, then they can go into a spiral, into a pattern of negativity. So our goal is to change that and give them the resources they need. And then also we have a new program called the Butterfly Project, where we're working with young ladies and helping them achieve things like better in their self-esteem, they're better in their image, dealing with trauma, as well as positive social media activity. So we're bringing in workshops, people to help them achieve these goals, and to move forward in that situation, so they can just have a better image of themselves. And this money will also go towards providing ongoing programs that we have. Our Philadelphia Gaming Initiative, which is a diversionary program, anti-gun violence program, where we engage youth through gaming. And when they come in for gaming, we also provide life skill, esports and gaming. We provide life skills, workshops, and things they need to change their outcomes. And we also have a mentoring program that we do called Real Talk with the Collective over at Roxborough High School. So these funds are going to go a long way. We've always been great stewards of whatever we receive to make sure it goes as far as possible. And no youth that comes to our program ever leaves hungry. We make sure that everybody is fed every night, every time. So we thank you guys for this reward, and we will continue to do the work. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Mike, and your team, for the work that you all are doing, and had a chance to look at the video of the basketball tournament that you all just returned from up in Queens. Thank you so much for your work. The next organization we're going to bring forth is Victim Services of South Philadelphia. We have both with us Allison Sprague, who is the executive director, as well as Tram Moyen, who is the lead advocate at South Philadelphia Victim Services. They're receiving a grant in the amount of $20,000.
We have to do this part.
Picture? We want a big check photo too. Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. My name is Tram Nguyen. I'm a lead victim advocate at Victim Witness Services of South Philadelphia. And I'm a lead advocate for our Immigrant Victim Access Collaborative team. Our agency works with people that is hurt by violence. When people are supported by, to get help, to break that cycle of violence. On behalf of our organization and our team, I would like to say thank you to the District Attorney Office for giving us the grant opportunity to support our Immigrant Victim Access Collaborative team. Our immigrant community is most vulnerable at this time, right now, when service are most needed for help. 1/3 of our current clients are immigrants. Most are documented and limited English proficiency. There is a widespread of legitimate fear within our immigrant community right now to contact the police department, to go to court when the crime happened, as will expose them to immigration consequences. Our victim advocate provide information about risks and benefit, as well as advocacy and accompaniment our client to court. So to eliminate some fear for them to go to court. Over the last couple of years, we developing our restorative justice program for our young people here in Philadelphia, including immigrant youth. We want to provide alternative to mass incarcerations to young people and punishment. We are excited to be able to receiving this grant on behalf of the community and our work, so we can continue with the work that we are doing right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Tram, and thank you so much, Allison. Our next organization we're going to bring up is Treehouse Books, who's receiving a grant for $20,000. We have Tangi Wilson, who is the managing director for Treehouse Books. They are located on the 1400 block of Susquehanna Avenue in North Philadelphia, and we're excited to support them for a second time. Treehouse Books.
Thank you. Thank you to the office for this award, and most importantly for the honor of sharing such an incredible space with organizations doing such impactful work in our community. I think it's important to just say thank you to everyone that is also receiving this benefit. Together and in community is the way that we continue to make an impact on the greater Philadelphia community. Treehouse Books was founded in 2005 as a giving library to nurture the next generation of readers, writers, and thinkers, and also to increase home libraries. Over the years, we've just continued to respond to community need and increase youth programming. We have K-8 programming throughout the year with after school, summer camp, as well as a summer delivery program for books. We have a teen program where we focus on career enrichment, and we also hire those teens for our summer camp. And we also have budding adult programming because we believe that our entire families and give everyone something to do. So thank you all for this honor.
Next organization we're going to bring up is one that's well known, Mural Arts of Philadelphia. Jane Golden, executive director, had to leave. However, Damon McWhite, who is the director of restorative justice, will be receiving the grant on behalf of Jane for Mural Arts of Philadelphia in the amount of $20,000.
Okay, great. I think we're last because everybody knows how Jane performs, but she's not here today. So my name is David McWhite. Good afternoon, everyone. Our program, the Restorative Justice Department, began in 2004 when a group of men at SEI Greaterford invited Jane Golden to visit the facility to think about the process of building murals within the prison. Over the years, the work that they created, a number of murals that they did inside the facility, led our organization to create a program called the Guild, which is really identified to help intercept the prison pipeline. A lot of the men in that program mentioned to Jane that if there was a program similar to what we were doing at SEI Greaterford for them in Philadelphia, some of them may not be there at that time. So our Guild program is a life readiness program. It's geared towards identifying individuals who have been impacted by the justice system, giving them an opportunity to identify what life path they want to pursue, but using the transformational power of art to do that work. So we're very gracious of the DA's office for identifying us, but also just want to give a congratulations to all the other organizations. One thing that we realize is that it's not just one way. We like to connect our participants to other programs that may even extend their workforce development opportunities or just provide the pathway to find their ideal opportunity. So thank you again, and we appreciate the opportunity.
We're going to hear from just two more organizations before we prepare for Q&A. I'm going to bring forward A Home is a Right Inc. We have Executive Director Stephanie Booker, who's receiving a grant $10,000, and she brought some young people with her, and they want an opportunity to speak as well. So let's prepare to receive the second program.
Good afternoon, everyone. Like he said, thank you for the introduction. My name is Stephanie Booker. I am the executive director and founder of an organization called AHARI. It stands for A Home is a Right. Our primary targeted population are veterans to provide permanent supportive housing for them. I teach a class called RAP, Wellness Recovery Action Plan, and in 2020, Shirley Moy from Temple University wanted us to do a pilot program in RECAST. RECAST stands for Resiliency in the Communities After Stress and Trauma. So I took her up on the pilot program because they gave us $120,000. So I went and I sat in, not for the program, for COVID, but this one, it was very minimal. So when I sat and I listened to the children, like 8 years old to 15 years old, one of them said they were empty inside. What does a child know about being empty inside at that age? It's unheard of. So I took it upon myself. I have 2 children. One graduated from Spelman, one graduated from North Carolina A&T, and I exposed them to everything positive that I could. And this is how I'm teaching my children that I have in my RECAST program. And I also meet them where they are, and I know they need different things to develop: public speaking, life skills training, a lot of trauma, mental health training we have. They're certified in, come on y'all, wound care, prevention, AED, and CPR. They just got that certification. And any type of programs that I see that will benefit for them, they go. They don't want to be here right now, but they're here. Okay? And they're very nervous, so take it easy on them. But they're kind of family. I always wanted a son. I never had one, but I have a lot of them now. So that's all I'm going to say. I just love them. I love what I do for them. I love to see them grow and understand that there's another life instead of gang banging, selling drugs, and things of that nature. So I'm going to let Nasir's coming up first. Nasir's pretty new to me, but he's been telling me a lot about our program. So you can tell these people. Introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Nasir. I recently was incarcerated for a little petty case, but I came and met with Miss Stephanie, and she taught me a way that nobody else could. She was there when I didn't have nobody. And it's just like recently we had a meeting about me losing my mom and stuff, talking about the past that I didn't have when I was younger. Now she's just finding any type of way to bring it to me now. It's like, she's like a mom I didn't have. She helps me so much. She motivates me to want to keep going, move more. And it's just, I'm here to this day, and I'm going to stick behind her no matter what.
My name is Amir. I've been with Ms. Steph for about 3 years. And I started when we wasn't getting paid. I was just doing it with her because off the shrimp that I messed with her. And she helped me get through high school and all that. And I'm out to go to trade school for construction.
And where you work?
And I work for the school district of Philadelphia. I work at James Road.
DC is a break, but he's a really good, he's the youngest of our bunch. You see, he just wants to hold the check. But that's all I have to say, and I thank you for the opportunity to help them a little longer, because some of the money we get, it doesn't cover the older children. So this will help a lot with them. They're going to the Poconos on the 11th through the 15th. Where's the money man? Come on, y'all. Everybody in here doing a great thing. Yeah. Come on, Mir.
White phone, that's what I'm looking for.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stephanie, and thank you to those young men. Our last organization we'll hear from is an organization called Team Inc., also known as Men of Courage. We have Mr. Todd Murdoch, who's come to prepare to receive a grant for $30,000.
Well, first and foremost, again, thank you to everyone here, my fellow grantees,
the Office of District Attorney. And a special thanks to my brother, G. Lamar, who's a brother in the faith, but also a brother in the work. Quick story about how even Greg and I first met. When I first started the organization out, because of our critical thinking model with our young kings, I had Greg come to a room full of young men. We all would wear like our Medicare hoodies, typically black with red and white writing. And we talked to them about what is their idea of relationship with law enforcement. All announced to the fact that G. Lamar was sitting in the room and he was actually undercover cop at the time. So him listening to this conversation, but then also being able to engage with the young men and help to break the narrative and the stigma around that relationship when we talk about community engagement. One of the things I like to say, if anyone in here is married, we understand that your marriage first started with engagement, but even prior to the engagement, it was a relationship that was built. So when we talk about law enforcement and community engagement, oftentimes that relationship is not in place. So it's people like G. Lamar who are very attentive about being to come into the community and build that relationship. So G, thanks to you for the brotherhood over the years and what you've been able to bring to the table. Again, my name is Taj Murdoch. I'm the CEO and founder of Team Inc., which stands for the Empowerment Achievement Movement, but it's also a movement to achieve empowerment together. So it's always based around community engagement, but also how do we bring forth partnerships to be able to work forth together. But the other thing I like to say is this, that I'm a former high school dropout, ex-offender, a recovering addict, and also a suicide survivor. So a lot of what our young kings face, I'm a person that has overcome a lot of challenges that they face, and even though the landscape has changed, a lot of things that hasn't changed is the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that our young black men go through. So one of the things that the District Attorney's Office has been able to support us with is our mission is empowerment through exposure. We believe that our young men need to see life outside of their direct environment, but now also vicariously through social media. Back in June, we had a powerful trip where we took some seniors in high school and also some of our college students to New York to visit the headquarters of Grubhub. Because typically they just think just ordering food on the app is all that Grubhub entails, but they have an IT department, they have a marketing department, they have an engineering department. So all of these things will help to open their mindset to understand what's possible, because to know that young black men typically don't see success in their day-to-day goings. So that was a very pivotal trip. Also, they've been able to support our workforce development model, which we're very intentional about giving our young kings hands-on skills. Promoting and encouraging them to go to college is great. Promoting go to trade schools is great, but we understand that this is a generation that thrives on instant gratification. So a lot of models that we have is landscaping and lawn care. You cut grass, you get paid. We just finished our 6-week auto detailing training, which actually right now at the facility going over the business side of it, learning inventory, what supplies we need to buy, because we're about to launch a real life auto detailing business at our property. These young men in the past 2 weeks have gotten paid, received cash in hand for washing a vehicle. So these are the kind of things we strive to do with our young men. They're doing music production, they're doing carpentry, they're doing culinary arts, and also fabric printing, being able to learn these type of trades. So those are some of the tangible things that the DA's office has been supportive of. Also, our Rites of Passage program, which we're in the middle of, which is actually full circle, Doctor, that we're here. Week 2 was specifically gathered around the fact of helping young black men understand a lot of the challenges that we face as black men from a health standpoint. We have the highest rate of cardiovascular disease, the highest rate of stroke, and the highest rate of diabetes. So a lot of things are prevented if we get them in the front to understand, because no matter how successful you want to be in life, if you're not healthy enough to enjoy the fruits of your labor, it doesn't make a difference. Also, this is a full circle moment for me. When I was incarcerated, Brother Robert Nixon was a brother that I met that we're still friends to this day. His daughter was the young lady that was killed outside of Deliverance a couple weeks ago. So for me to be standing here today receiving a check for the work that we're doing from the District Attorney's Office in this space, it's kind of full circle, because we're striving to prevent a lot of that work a lot of the violence that we see in our community. Lastly, I'll touch on our trauma-informed care. We deal with critical thinking, emotional intelligence, but also conflict resolution. But we've also just past Saturday, we had a workshop with our parents. We had about 17 parents in the room, because we understand that the black community has the highest rate of adverse childhood experiences. So these are the things that happen in your childhood that affect you in your adulthood. So a lot of these parents are holding on to a lot of things that are being passed down to the children and have been passed down for generations. So not only do we want to reach our young people, we want to make sure that the household gets that healing along with things. So again, thank you to everyone. Thank you, Dr. Krasner, and please thank Dr. Stanford. This is a humble opportunity for me, so just thank you so much, and we appreciate the work. Thank you.
All right, well, you heard from 7 organizations, but there are 21 here. So I'm just gonna ask my colleagues who are right behind me, if you could just scoop to the left and right so that they can see these folks who are back here and I want to acknowledge all the other organizations who are here today. You've heard from Action for Justice, and as I mention your name, if you just stand and hold the check up. You've heard from Action for Justice Collective, that's Mike Brown. Thank you so much, sir. $20,000. You've heard from A Home is a Right, Inc., Stephanie Booker and her boys, $10,000. Art Well is also here. They're receiving $20,000. Artista y Musicos will be receiving $10,000. As I Plant a Seed, you heard from Ryan Harris, $40,000. Camp Jameson will be receiving a grant for $10,000. Eco Foundation, also known as Education Culture Opportunities, receiving a grant for $30,000. Again, we'll ask you all stand as you hear your name. Healing Communities, also with us today, receiving a grant for $20,000. The Jarrell Christopher Say Love and Laughter Foundation, receiving a grant for $10,000. KB Foundation, also known as the Kirk Berry Foundation. Mr. Kirk Berry is here today, receiving a grant in the amount of $30,000. You've heard from Your Arts. They're receiving a grant in the amount of $20,000. Northeast Victim Services, receiving a grant in the amount of $20,000. Power of Paint, Art Academy and Management, receiving a grant in the amount of $20,000. You've heard from Team Inc., also known as Men of Courage, Mr. Taj Murdoch, grant of $30,000. The Adderley Foundation, also with us today, receiving a grant in the amount of $10,000. The Colors Organization, receiving a grant in the amount of $20,000. The McLean Foundation, receiving a grant in the amount of $10,000. You've heard from Treehouse Books, receiving a grant in the amount of $20,000. University Community Collaborative, receiving a grant in the amount of $10,000. You've heard from Victim Services of South Philadelphia, receiving a grant in the amount of $20,000. And last but certainly not least, We Love Philly, receiving a grant in the amount of $20,000. Can we celebrate our grant awardees? Just before Mr. DA comes to for our Q&A, I just want to encourage all of our friends in the media, please, after this press conference, take the time to speak to our folks who are here, hear more about their organizations. Today's press conference is about them and the work that they're doing to help reduce violence in the city of Philadelphia, but also to address the harm. So thank you again, and we appreciate each of you. If you could just be seated for a moment, DA Krasner will come at this time for our Q&A.
Thank you. All right, just a couple of quick comments. Number one, you're going to be hearing more about victim services agencies. I hinted at this before. I said stay tuned. You've seen a number of them here today, and thank you for the incredibly important work that all of you do. But stay tuned on this one. There has been a really interesting effort this year involving other elected officials, among others, to recognize their importance and the necessity of meeting their needs. That's all I'm going to say right now, so stay tuned on that. Second thing is for all of the organizations that have received awards here, let me say something I've said many times before. This is your team. These other people are not your competition. They are not fighting over the same little bucket of money. That's not what is happening. You are all people of goodwill. You all do important stuff. You all have an amazing skill set or you wouldn't be here. Get each other's phone numbers, emails, make connections. There's a lot of overlap here. There's a lot of mutual support. They can break you down one at a time. And oh, trust me, we have somebody in DC who wants to break you down one at a time. But they cannot break you down if you are together and if you are supporting each other. If we can be of any help in that process, other than getting you all together and trying to provide a little bit of funding, which has already happened, but if we can be of any help in that process, please let us provide that support to you as well. With that, we will take some questions. Channel 3 CBS, Mr. Holden.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Krasner. On the Christie Rec Center, do we know if a gun was recovered?
I will bring up my Christie Rec experts who will tell you what they can tell you without bumping up against the needs of an ongoing investigation, retaining its integrity, etc. But let me call forward Marion Aguilar and colleagues to comment upon that.
At this time, it's an ongoing investigation. We don't have a firearm recovered, but we do have ballistic evidence from multiple locations that we're working on our labs doing correlations with.
Just two follow-up questions, if I may. Do you have an idea how many more arrests, in know that's a police question, but in your work with them so far, how many people we may be looking at?
So that's difficult to answer at this time as it's an ongoing investigation. As I said, our detectives at the Shooting Investigation Group are tirelessly reviewing evidence as well as we are, and any individual that we feel should be charged for criminal involvement in this case will be charged. Go ahead.
In the very early hours of this investigation, we received a narrative about what police believed to have happened. Just for the sake of making sure we're all on the same page, can you give us just a sort of a replay of what you believe occurred that afternoon at 56 and Christian?
So we are still fleshing that information out. There was an earlier altercation that happened about an hour and a half prior. We're still working on connecting the dots, whether that earlier altercation led to this later shooting, and what, if any, individuals involved in that earlier altercation were then involved in this later shooting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Holden, just one small follow-up. This office has always placed a high priority on not simply the consequences for one individual involved in a terrible crime, but trying to get the information, expand the investigation, and bring everyone responsible in. That is different than how it used to be. Clearance rate, a phrase I'm sure you've heard many times, actually means did you get one? That's what it means. And as I hope people have noticed, when it comes to the Roxborough shooting, when it comes to the Eid shooting that occurred at the Philadelphia Masjid, a shooting in which, by the way, ADA Aguilar has been the main prosecutor. It didn't matter how long it took. We took the time, we did what we could to try to make sure everyone involved was responsible. It doesn't do any good in trying to deter crime to let people think that if 6 of you do it, only 1 is getting caught. That is not solving the problem. So as much as possible, and it's not always possible, we do try to bring everyone who is involved. We try to clarify what they did or did not do, and for someone who has committed a crime, there will be the appropriate consequence. Dan Sheridan, Channel 6 ABC, do you have any questions?
No questions, sir.
Thank you, sir. Cristobal Mora, 10 Telemundo, do you have any questions? In español, now or
Yes.
later?
Okay.
Después, okay, we'll do that. 29 Fox, George Roach, any questions?
Yes, I do. One question about the age of the individual. 17 years old, do you plan on, I don't know if it's been brought out, but it's going to be charged as an adult? Can you elaborate on that? You know.
I'm going to ask Mr. Listenby, Bob Listenby, the first assistant, who, as many of you know, has been a lifelong expert in juvenile justice, to explain what that process is. And that is not because we do not have an answer. It's because we try to know everything about a case before we make the most crucial decisions. But Mr. Listenby, first assistant Listenby, if you wouldn't mind.
For young people who are over the age of 15, who use weapons, and those weapons are used in aggravated assault cases like this, where there are 4 people who are injured by gunfire, they're automatically in the adult system that's referred to as direct file juveniles. They have an opportunity to go through a decertification process and be decertified back to the juvenile system, but that has to go through a very lengthy process that would probably take several months. In this particular case, we're very concerned about juveniles, not just this one, but as the DA mentioned, any others who might be involved. If they're involved, they would also go directly to the adult system if they're 15 years old or older. This particular individual is going to be 18 in September, by the way.
Just one more comment on that. Anyone who has information about the Christie Rec shooting who has not come forward, please do so. We all need to do this for each other. It's incredibly important. And do so understanding that this office and our law enforcement partners will do everything in our power to make sure that you are safe, that you are protected. If there's a parent out there whose child was involved in this, don't be afraid of justice. Parent brings a child in who's done something bad, it's only going to help. Child runs and gets caught, it's only going to hurt. So we look forward to the opportunity to get to the bottom of all aspects of this case and make sure that the people responsible are captured and then are treated in a way that is just and appropriate in this terrible crime. Sherry Stone, Philadelphia Tribune.
Do we know anything about the 32-year-old guy who was shot at the Christie Wright Center? Was he like associated with the Parity School, or do we know that for sure? That's what one of the neighbors said, but I just wanted to check. And is he kind of okay? And I know it was a Gray's wound, but.
Let me just say this, if I may, for reasons I can't fully explain right now. We don't have a comment on that particular point at this time. I'll be happy to speak to you afterwards and see if we can be of a little more assistance. But at this time, for a lot of reasons that you might or might not be able to figure out, we won't comment on that. Do you have any other questions, Ms. Stone?
No, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Dan, oh, I'm sorry, Geisha Torres, 65 Univision. Después, okay.
Después.
Very good. And Dan, is it Haran?
Haran, but no, thank you.
Dan Haran, okay, thank you. All right, that being the case, if there are no more questions, I just want to say one final time how much I personally appreciate, and all Philadelphians should appreciate, the incredibly important, foundational, grassroots work that is being done by these organizations. It's something that a prior police commissioner, Sylvester Johnson, used to say all the time. It's a sentiment I know this mayor shares, and it's a sentiment I know that this police commissioner shares, and we should all share, which is that there is no effective law enforcement unless it is grassroots law enforcement. And there is no effective law enforcement unless it includes prevention and efforts to meet people's basic needs, because it doesn't take much time to do something terrible. It does take a lot of time to put people in a space where they don't want ever to do something terrible. So I'm extremely grateful to these organizations. I want the taxpayer to know there's not a nickel going to these organizations that came from tax money. There's not a nickel that could have been used to pay the salaries of our people, which is 90% of our budget. This money is for this. This money is specifically to take from those who harm a community criminally and to give to those who are rebuilding that community. And that is exactly what the people behind me are doing. Final thank you, of course, to Dr. Stanford for letting us use this wonderful and important facility. You got 3 weeks. Get those kids in here. Get those seniors in here. Get everybody who needs these services in here, because these services, I can attest, as a patient, these services are absolutely fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.